Okay, which choice best describes the function of the underlying portion of the text? It looks like we have an underline in a poem. Okay, usually it's about the main idea of the poem, but we want the function of this underlined sentence. Okay, let's take a look. The following text is from Grimke's 1888 poem, At Newport. Oh, deep delight to watch the gladsome waves, exultant leap upon the rugged rocks. So definitely a positive view of the ocean and the waves hitting the rocks. Ever repulsed, yet ever rushing on, filled with a life that will not know defeat. So they basically don't give up. The waves, they can't get over the rocks, they can't get onto the land, but they keep coming, so they don't give up, seems to be the idea or the function here. Is to present something about them and their behaviors. It's almost personifying them, in a sense. To see the glorious hues of sky and sea, the distant snowy sails, glide spirit-like into an unknown world, to feel the sweet enchantment of the sea thrill all the soul, clearing the clouded brain, making the heart leap joyous as its own bright singing waves. So again, very positive. The purpose of this is to, it's kind of juxtaposing the positive nature of these waves against this idea that they don't give up, that they can't get past it. But it kind of is positive, because even though they're repulsed, they're filled with a life that will never know defeat. So that kind of is really positive. Let's see the answer choices. It portrays the surroundings as an imposing and intimidating. Intimidating means it's a little fearful. That's not right. Nothing really says intimidated here. It's all very positive. B, it characterizes the sea's waves as a relentless and enduring force. That's it. Never repulsed, yet ever rushing on. It's relentless, filled with a life that will not know defeat, and it's enduring. It won't give up. That looks like it's going to be it. Let's just see what other options there are. C, it conveys the speaker's ambivalence. No, ambivalence means he's wavering back and forth about whether he likes it or not or what. No, this guy's pretty positive, or she's pretty positive. D, it draws a contrast between the sea's waves and the speaker's thought. Is that really what these lines do? A contrast between the speaker's thought and the sea's waves? I don't think so. I don't think that's an appropriate, contrast. So we have false comparisons. Here's a false contrast. Okay? This is actually, I think, ultimately another example of him finding strength within the waves that never give up. B is the correct answer. Okay, we want the function of the underlined sentence again. So let's figure out what it's doing, what ideas it presents relative to the rest of the text. So as always, let's read the whole text. When ancient oak planks were unearthed during subway construction in Rome, Mauro Bernabe and his team examined the growth rings in the wood to determine where these planks came from. By comparing the growth rings on the planks to records of similar rings in oaks from Europe, the team could trace the wood to the Jura region of France, hundreds of kilometers from Rome. Because timber could only have been transported from distant Jura to Rome by boat, the team's findings suggest the complexity of Roman trade routes. Okay, so these simple planks in Rome that were, while building the subway, were pulled up from Roman times, actually led to this weird off-topic discovery or realization that Rome did a lot of its trade overseas by all different kinds of routes. So it was multifaceted. So it presents a conclusion about Roman trade routes based on the team's findings. That it does, right? That pretty much is what it does. Let's hold on to that and look at B, C, and D. It questions how the team was unable to conclude. No questioning here about their ability to conclude anything. And nothing about building a boat. That's just simply not in the passage, right? So just throw in these weird, easily eliminated answers. Well, take advantage of that. C, it explains why the planks were made from oak. Why? Made from oak? No, it explains where they come from and the importance of the conclusions from that. That's not right. So B and C are incorrect. It describes common methods used in Roman subway. Whoa, talk about mixing facts. Okay. Common methods of Roman subway construction. Common to what? That's just completely wrong. A is our answer. It presents a conclusion about Roman trade routes based on the team's findings. That's simply the function of that last sentence. Okay, got main purpose of the text. So we've got this whole paragraph. Let's read the whole thing. What is the function of the paragraph? To convey worries, describe characters have changed, contrast the activity indoors, or depict the setting as the characters await. So let's look. The following text is from Sarah Jewett's 1899 story, Martha's Lady. Martha is employed by Miss Pine as a maid. Okay. Miss Pine sat by the window watching, in her best dress, looking stately and calm. She seldom went out now, and it was almost time for the carriage. Martha was just coming in from the garden, she's working for Miss Pine, with the strawberries and with more flowers in her apron. It was a bright, cool evening in June. The golden robins sang in the elms, and the sun was going down behind the apple trees at the foot of the garden. The beautiful old house stood wide open to the long-expected guest. So who's the long-expected guest? That's kind of interesting. Is it Martha, who works for Mrs. Pine? You know, it's time for the carriage. No, maybe not. Maybe there's some other guest coming here. So what is the point or the purpose of this? It's describing a setting where Martha works for this woman and she's looking out, calm. She doesn't go out much, but it looks like she's ready to go for perhaps to see some long-expected guest. Then it describes Martha coming in this beautiful, sunset type setting. And we don't know, is Martha the expected guest? Maybe that would kind of be odd because she works for Miss Pine. Or maybe Miss Pine's just waiting to go out for a rare night on the town. Who knows? All right. Is it to convey the worries brought about by a new guest? Worries? I don't really get the sense of worries. Nothing here seems to show worries. I think I'm going to put an X on that, but let's keep going. To describe how the characters have changed over time. There's no mention of time. The change in time is simply not in or shown in this passage. This is just a snapshot of one night, one scene for all the characters. So that's not right. To contrast the activity indoors with the stillness outside. So is there a lot of activity here? Miss Pine sitting there. Not a whole lot of activity there indoors. And stillness outside. There seems to be more going on outside. I don't know about stillness, but we've got robins singing, the woman's coming in with strawberries and flowers, and there seems to be more going on outside, so I don't think C is right. To depict the setting as the characters await a visitor's arrival. Okay, there we go. The end here is that visitor's arrival. That's kind of what we wondered. Is the visitor Martha or is it some other visitor? Clearly it's some other visitor, which makes sense. And D would best depict the function. Okay, 19. What best describes the overall structure of the text? So what's the function? What's the text doing here? Okay. Works of moral philosophy such as Plato's Republic or Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics are partly concerned with how to live a morally good life. So a lot of philosophies about how to live a good life, whatever good is. But, contrasting, philosopher Barnes argues that works that present a method of living such a life without also supplying a motive are inherently useful only to those already wishing to be morally good. So, okay, good. He's kind of questioning, not so much what morally good is, but why would you want to be morally good? Like, what's your motivation? Okay, good question. Those with no desire for moral goodness will not choose to follow their rules. Right? If I don't want to be morally good, why would I follow the rules of living a morally good life? However, contrasting again, some works of moral philosophy attempt to describe what constitutes a morally good life while also proposing reasons for living one. Okay, so the purpose of all this is to kind of explain philosophy, or this aspect of philosophy, right? That these Plato and Aristotle want you to live a morally good life, but this Barnes guy wants you, or says you need to have a motive or a reason to live a morally good life. And then lastly, it wraps up, well, some philosophical works tries to answer both. So it's kind of presenting a progression of ideas here. Let's see the answers. It provides a characterization about a field of thought by noting two works in it. It does note two specific works. It doesn't note Barnes' specific works. And then details a way in which some works in that field were more comprehensive than others. More comprehensive than others? Maybe. I mean, at the end, does that demonstrate that? They included being good, and they included reasons to be good, which is arguably more that might be, actually. Let's just keep that off to the side. B, it mentions two renowned works. Do we know they're renowned? I mean, they are renowned, but do we know that? And then claims that despite their popularity, there's nothing about popularity mentioned in here. So again, we get sometimes the answers all about the success or popularity, or they're usually wrong. It is impossible for these works to serve the purpose their authors intended. No, I don't think that's right. C, it summarizes the history of a field of thought by discussing two works and then proposes a topic of further research for specialists in that field. No, not really a historical summary. There are no dates here. No dates, no history. And it's not proposing a topic of further research for specialists. Doesn't even mention specialists. That's not right. So B's wrong, C's wrong. D, it describes two influential works. Are they influential? Maybe. Doesn't really say so. I mean, yes, we know they are, but doesn't really say so in this text. And then explains why one is more widely read. Okay, this is our typical false comparison. No such comparison is in the text. And it's not about popularity or wide reading. Again, that's wrong. It's A. It provides a characterization about a field of thought by noting two works. That's where it started, Plato and Aristotle. Then details a way in which some works are more comprehensive. It goes into an argument that you need to know more than that, and then discusses some examples that use or discuss both the moral goodness and the reasons for moral goodness. I think A is the best. It kind of misses the talk about Barnes and his question that you need a reason. That's not really an A, but I don't see another answer that's better. Two renowned works and claims that despite their popularity is impossible. Impossible? I didn't pick that up before. That's super extreme, right? That's got to be wrong. Summarize the history, then propose a topic of further research. I mean, that too misses Barnes entirely, and that's not even right. So D, it describes two influential and then explains why one, again, more widely read, not that. I say it's A. Okay, which choice best describes the overall structure of the text? This is basically a function question. Okay. What is this whole paragraph or passage doing? Oh, a poem. Very typical presentation for this section. We have poetry and we want to know the function of the poem. Sometimes they're tricky, but actually they're not really tricky if you kind of read the poems, even though you might not be an expert on it. Don't let that, influence you. So our reasons or answers always begin with verbs. Speaker questions an attitude. He regrets his isolation. He concedes his shortcomings, or he addresses a criticism. So let's see what's going on. The following text is from Walt Whitman's 1860 poem, Calamus 24. I hear it is charged against me that I seek to destroy institutions. Okay. Well, there's definitely a criticism, right? Okay. So let's call that the critique. He's starting right there. But, of course, he doesn't agree. He's contrasting. Really, I am neither for nor against institutions. What indeed have I in common with them, or what with the destruction of them? So he's questioning. Only I will establish in the Manhattan, and in every city of these states, inland and seaboard, and in the fields and woods, and above every keel ship, little or large, that dents the water, without edifices or rules or trustees or any argument, the institution of the dear love of comrades. Okay, so this is a lot of language, but basically he's saying everywhere. Everywhere, only he. So the question or charge against him is that he hates institutions. And his response is, well, I don't really care about institutions. They have nothing to do with me. The only thing I care about, no matter where and everywhere, is the dear love of comrades. That's what's important to me, not institutions. Okay? It seems to be what the purpose of this poem is. So let's check it out. The speaker questions an increasingly prevalent attitude, then summarizes his worldview. That looks pretty good. So he's questioning right here a prevalent attitude. So he hears it's charged against me. That's maybe the prevalent attitude, the critique. And then he gives his worldview, what he loves, comrades. This looks pretty good. Let's hold on to it and check the others. The speaker regrets his isolation from others. Nothing in here about isolation from others. Nothing about a profound change in society. That's wrong. C, the speaker concedes his personal shortcomings. Where does he concede his shortcomings? Walt Whitman? No, I don't think so. Then boasts of his many achievements. No, this isn't about his achievements in there. Again, all of this is just not in the passage. D, the speaker addresses a criticism. That he does in the beginning, leveled against him. So far, so good. Then announces a grand ambition of his. Only I will establish everywhere, without edifices, without institutions or rules or the trustees in institutions, the institution of the dear love of comrades. So that kind of is a grand ambition. This looks pretty good too. All right, let's check A versus D. The speaker questions an increasingly prevalent attitude. So this part is the weak link, I think, in A. Prevalent attitude means, what's commonly thought. Well, we know he hears it's charged against him, but do we know it's increasingly prevalent? That's kind of questionable. And then summarizes, well, this is not his worldview. That's too broad. You know what? That's too broad when we read it again. D is better. The speaker addresses a criticism clearly and announces his grand ambition. His ambition is only I will establish. And he's going to establish everywhere without all the things that burden institutions. He's going to make an institution of love. D is the right answer. Love of man, that is. D.